Hello, friends. It's such a privilege to sit with you today. We are starting a series of videos with conversation. Desirae and me, Johanni we are sitting with you and we just want to talk a bit about Parent Reality. I am the co-founder of Parent Reality and Desirae, the head of support, parent support with us. So we hope you'll enjoy this conversation, just digging a bit into who Parent Reality is, who are we, and what do we do, and how did it start? So I'm going to give over to Desirae, and let's see where this goes today, Des.
Thank you, Johanni. What an awesome privilege it is that we get to sit down and talk about something we're both super, super passionate about, and that's supporting parents. We both have our own journeys that led us to this point, and we've spoken quite a lot about my journey, I think, somewhat, and I have known the basics of how you founded Parent Reality, but I thought to kick us off today, tell me more. Tell me, where did it all really start for you before even Niku? Niku is the other co-founder, and when you're speaking, if you can also lead us to that point of Niku. But just a little bit more, Johanni, of what brought you to the point of founding Parent Reality.
Okay, so I would say that it really started in the waiting room of one of the therapies that we were waiting for my daughter. She was diagnosed with autism and she was around about 2 years old. And what I was doing is I was walking around in this waiting room looking for other parents. Also, just like a number on a wall or something that I can get in contact with another parent who has a child who is diagnosed and just talk to them. Because I found I needed that conversation and I couldn't find anything. It was such a huge disappointment. And I think that's where it started. I think that's where I just realized this is unacceptable. There must be other parents in the same situation than I am, and just, be available to speak to. So from there, things developed in our lives. We were very busy for quite a few years with the kids, and we were both diagnosed. And my daughter was diagnosed with autism at the age 2, and my eldest son with ADHD at the age of 3.5. And we were just surviving, going through everything, medications, therapy, all of that. And then in 2014, I was doing a life coaching course where I sat with Nico Liebenberg. He's the coach trainer, and I went through the course for a year. And after that year, they asked the question: so what are you going to do with your coaching skills? Where are you going to focus? And the only people that came up in my heart is us, the parents. And I just knew special needs parents need support, they need understanding, they need coaching. And that's actually where it started. And then Nico and I sat down, I had coffee with him, and he just said, let's just do this. Let's just do this immediately, because he has 2 disabled children. And he came up with the name just as quick as you could say. He just said Parent Reality. That's the name, because it's about the reality of special needs parents. And well, that worked. It worked.
Definitely works. The reality is a different story.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and after you and Niku sat down, then you founded Parent Reality. What was the early days like? What was your focus and what was it like?
Well, I would say the early days was very hard, because with any kind of organization or business or whatever you start, you always think, well, this is such a need. It should go so fast. The parents should be coming up. They should, put up their hands and say, yes, let's just get together. But that didn't happen, because we realized that special needs parents specifically are very vulnerable, and they battle to trust. We battle to trust people. So it was hard to start off. It took us a few years. Like, we started in 2014, we're now in
Yes.
2023, and it just really took time. But the Lord was so faithful, because during every little bit of the starting off of this organization, he carried us. He carried us. He motivated me. I wanted to throw down the tools many times, because you feel alone. You feel nothing's
Mhm.
happening, because I'm an idealist in my whole being, and I see the best and the quickest route, to Rome. So, and that's not how it happened. But the
Yes.
Lord has been so faithful, and He's sent people. And even though our group was quite small for a few years, the people in the group grew close very fast. And I just knew, the Lord also says He goes for the one. He doesn't, He leaves the 99 and looks for the one. And that
Yeah.
should also be my focus. It's not about lots of people. It's about those who need support. And that's it. And I'll never forget, the Lord gave me the logo. It was I was thinking about it, praying about it, and then one morning He just gave it to me, and it was this flower with the one leaf that looks different, and the colors are the turquoise color especially stands
Mm.
for healing, and that's what I really feel and know the Lord's heart for parent reality is to for parents to be healed from all the wounds that they carry. Yes.
Thank you for sharing that, because I think that's so important, the part of the parents healing, because we focus so much on our children as parents that we forget that we carry the trauma too. And I think that's what I've loved about parent reality, that the focus is not on leaning in to do more, be more, change your child more, but really to just stop, breathe. We say this often, right? To just pause,
Mm.
breathe, focus on why we're doing what we're doing, and then to move from that space. And we've seen it over and over with parents, that when we get to that point, that's when they are more empowered and a little bit more objective to make good decisions for their children. And I just think it's so awesome that you've mentioned your faith journey and your life coaching journey, because both of those have given you inroads with parents. And I know that your heart has been so much in moving them from one place to, well, helping them through the journey. I shouldn't say moving them, because that's their choice to make. But Johanni, how has that experience been for you, walking with parents once parent reality was out there and people started finding support? What has that experience been for you personally, from a faith point of view? What is that experience?
I would say in one word, it's healing. Because for me, the fact that I could pour energy into this organization was healing to me. Because, we often look for significance, we look for meaning in our suffering. And that's what parent reality has done for me. Every parent who just finds safe space, every parent who shares what they're going through, being honest with their emotions, helping another parent in their close proximity, that to me was just healing. And I just loved being part of that, not necessarily being the source of it, but just having a part in it, being part in it. And that's the thing, I think, with how the Lord works. He says we are His co-workers. So He's actually
Yes.
doing this. He's the one who creates the space, but we are co-working with Him, and He loves that. He always asks that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
experience. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I think we have to speak about you now. So I would love to hear from you. There's what led up just before the day I sent you that email to ask if you would be a board member for Parent Reality.
So I was working in a nonprofit, which was a safe place for abandoned children, and we were seeing an influx of children with disabilities being abandoned. And I enjoyed the space of that work, but my heart was really heavy for the mothers who are making that choice. And often we were presuming what their backgrounds were like. But having a child with a disability myself, I was a teen pregnancy. I had my daughter at 18. She'll be 27 this year, so that's a long road to walk. But in that, working in that organization, it really weighed on me heavily how much blame was apportioned to the parents who had very little knowledge or understanding of what disability was like. And also that in our country, finding support, I remember as an 18-year-old just finding support or being able to articulate what I was experiencing was very hard. And so as these babies were coming to this organization, I really felt a huge call. I really felt God say to me, so you're sitting here on this side and you're upset and moaning. What about going onto the other side and actually helping the parents? And it was just, the timing was amazing, because I'd made the decision. I spoke to the director of that organization who like really understood what I was doing, but I didn't really know exactly where I was going to go and how I was going to support parents. And then I got the email from you. And I'll never forget, I looked at this email and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then I called you and we had the conversation about me not being a board member, but rather joining you and working on the ground with you.
But you've been doing this for quite a while anyway, right? You've been looking after parents, I think, in your stride. It feels to me it's like been in your stride for years, that you've just done this because you couldn't help yourself. Isn't that so?
That's funny, but that's true.
No. So when would you say, when did you start with your first, whatever effort it was, to start helping parents?
So similar to yours, I was pregnant for my second child. So I was married, and my husband legally adopted my daughter, Savannah, and we were having our second baby. And I was sitting in a school. My daughter, Savannah, was going for the assessment to be accepted at the school. And I remember sitting in those, it was a government school, outside. They had like these concrete benches, and there were other mothers sitting there. And it just struck me that none of us could speak to each other. Our pain and our grief were so deep. We struggled to find the words to speak to each other. But it was a 5-day assessment. So like by day 3, I couldn't help myself. And so I started speaking to them. And the parents didn't know why they were there. So they didn't know the diagnosis. They didn't understand why they were sent there from the local clinic or hospital. They didn't understand what questions to ask. They didn't know how to advocate for themselves. And not that I knew any better, but I just knew that somehow there must be more information somewhere. And that's what really triggered me to just always be available. But I think the second part, or maybe the first part of that, was I experienced childhood trauma. So I grew up in a home with violence and lots of different issues. And so becoming a young parent, I didn't want that for my child. And I really had to dig deep and find my way out of that, because nobody around me was there to help me. We're talking like the early 1990s, where mental health wasn't a word. It was a good thing to kind of give into substance abuse, or and really to just show up and make it work without dealing with the deeper issues. And I knew that wasn't the way I wanted. So sitting there with those parents, I just could see that some of them were coming from places that there were issues other than disability that they were struggling with. And I wanted to reach them there. So that was why I've always just, like, I don't know if I've taken it in my stride, but I've been available to speak.
Oh, it if I look at you, it just pours out of you. It's almost like, you know, you can't really not do that. It's just, that's just who you are. It's part of who you are. And I feel so privileged to work
Yes.
with you. I've learned so much in this year working with you, because you've got such a vast majority of experience and information, which all of us at Parent Reality are so thankful for. And together with you, we would like to celebrate 2022, right? With everything we've done, support groups.
Yes.
So the support groups, we've always only had it in Pretoria. And then this year, it extended to Joburg South and to Van der Bijl Park, which is amazing. And then we had these
Amazing.
events. We had the Independent Educational Plan event. We had an autism symposium
Yes.
talk, which was, I mean,
Yes.
with Desirae actually speaks at these things, but I was invited to speak with her, so that was wonderful. And
It was awesome.
yeah, what was the other stuff? The disability tax. What else?
And then we had the Mother's Day event where
Oh,
mothers came
Mother's
together
Day.
to celebrate each other. That was awesome. We had a self-defense course,
Yes,
and the mothers had lots of fun with that. We had the disability tax talk, and then the autism. Sorry, not autism. We did have autism in April, and then augmentative and alternative communication in September, and
that
then
was a big one.
seating for
Yeah.
that was a big one. And then the seating one also for children with cerebral palsy in October. So yeah, we definitely, I think I love that we're learning how, well, not God's opening these spaces where we are supporting parents on an emotional level and where they need to be met. But equally, we have these spaces to provide information.
Yes.
And I think those two are just, that's what parents are seeking.
Yes. Yeah, and I've realized that that's in essence what we do. That's what Parent Reality does. We
Yes.
support
Yes.
emotionally and with information. And I
Yes.
think for both of us, because we know that's what we need. And it sounds very
Yes.
simple, but it's not that simple, because there's lots of information to cover and lots of emotions to cover. But
Yes.
this is our heart and our passion. So we're going
Yeah.
to then start closing off this conversation so that you guys would
Yes.
have time to do other stuff today. And
Yes.
but know that there's links in this post with this video on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching it from, where you can look at what we did in 2022 in more detail.
Mhm.
And then also you can find more information about Parent Reality on our website, which we will also share here. But feel welcome to comment on this video and ask some questions and just speak to us so that we can know what kind of questions you have and what thoughts is going past everyone's minds, right? So
Yeah.
Des, thank you so
And
much for your time. Yeah.
thank you, honey. And also social media. Follow us on
Yes.
social media, on all our platforms.
Yeah,
Yes.
all our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So you can contact us directly for that. And then on email if you would like to receive our emails.
Yes.
Okay, thanks
Thanks,
so
Johanni.
much. Thanks. Have a good day, everyone. We'll see
Okay.
you again. Bye.
Bye.